Hi and welcome to Evolved Habits. Have you ever gone on a diet, lost the weight you wanted to, only for it to come back with a vengeance? And you've been left wondering why you couldn't stick to your diet? Well, it's not all your fault. A common piece of advice when it comes to weight loss is that if you want to create change, you have to get out of your comfort zone. But while this may produce success, it is normally fleeting and short-lived. The real secret to produce long-term meaningful success is not to get out of your comfort zone, but rather to move your comfort zone. And in this video, I'll be showing you how to use habit change to do so. So the standard approach in the health and fitness industry is to put you on a diet that changes your lifestyle overnight. You go all out for something like a 6-week challenge in the style of TV shows like The Biggest Loser. You're forced to go from 0 all the way to hero in one go. And when the challenge is over, chances are that you're going to go back to your 0 ways and regain all the weight or more within a year. In fact, in a study published in the year 2000, they found that only 5% of women and 7% of men were able to maintain a weight loss of more than 5% body mass for 9 years. With such a dismal success rate, why does the fitness industry keep pushing this approach? Well, first off, it sells well. Everyone wants to be thin yesterday, so the quicker you promise the results, the better. It's also highly profitable. You go in, you lose all your weight. You think that they did a really good job teaching you. After a year or so, you've regained the weight. You blame yourself and think, I better go in and do this program again. And so the cycle begins again. But today, I'm going to be taking a stand against the quick fixes and the snake oil and show you the best way to keep the weight off long term. Everyone is looking for a magic diet or pill or drink that will solve all their weight loss problems. But if you watched my previous video, you would know that it doesn't exist. And so rather than focusing on what the changes you're making should be, you should be focusing on how you're implementing those changes. So instead of changing everything at once, what you do is you break it down and implement one small change at a time. You allow each one to entrench as a habit before you move on to the next one. It takes a lot longer to fully implement all the changes that you desire, but it is a lot easier to stick to for the long term, which in the end is what truly matters. I would not even consider this approach a diet, but rather a change implementation strategy. There's quite a few advantages of this approach over the traditional 0 to hero approach. First off, it is much easier to stick to small changes because you're able to focus all your willpower on this one single change without feeling overwhelmed. It is also much more likely to become a habit which will no longer require willpower to maintain. It is also a far more scientific approach to implementing a new diet. By changing each variable one at a time, you know the impact that that one change has had, and then you can tell if the sacrifice is worthwhile. So let's say you cut out one of your favorite foods. If you only lose 2 pounds, it's probably not worth never having that favorite food again, right? But if you lose 20, 30 pounds, then it's going to seem a lot more worthwhile, and it's going to be a lot easier to resist temptation when you know the consequences of that action. It also allows you to stop making changes when you've reached a level of health that you're happy with without having to make any further sacrifices. You also have to realize that being able to stick to your new diet and avoid temptation is actually a skill that you need to develop. It is only the very protracted timeline of dietary changes that disguises this fact. So let's take an example with a short time frame. You wouldn't expect a gymnast to be able to read over a new routine of completely unfamiliar moves, go out onto the mat and ace it on the first try. But this is exactly what you're expecting of yourself when you take zero to hero approach to your diet. You wouldn't even expect a gymnast to do very well if all they did for practice was try the entire routine again and again in its entirety, which is once again what we do. Rather, if this gymnast wanted to succeed fast, you would probably tell them that they need to break down their practice, chunk it up into each individual move, practice that move, and perfect it. Perhaps even breaking down the more complex moves into component parts and perfecting them first. This would allow them to develop the skill a lot faster and have a lot greater success. And this is exactly what you're doing when you take this habit-based approach to evolving your lifestyle. So for me, one of the biggest advantages of this approach is that your comfort zone actually changes over time. Because each change you make is only on the edge or within your comfort zone, it actually pushes the boundary of what you consider comfortable. When I started developing this approach, one of the first changes my wife and I made was to start eating a portion of vegetables with every meal. We'd already been eating vegetables with at least one meal a day, so it wasn't that uncomfortable for us to do. And it was pretty easy to stick to. Fast forward to today, and we're probably eating about 10 times as much vegetable, and if we don't eat vegetable with a meal, we're not satisfied until we do. But not only can new changes become comfortable, but things you once found comfortable can become uncomfortable. So another early change my wife and I made was to cut back on our soda consumption. We were drinking soda every single day. So we set it to we would drink every other day. Now, we only drink perhaps one soda once or twice a month. Drinking as much soda as we used to is no longer comfortable for us. So this change of your comfort zone is actually most beneficial when a crisis happens, or if life just happens and you're forced to shift your focus away from your health for a while. Instead of reverting all the way back to zero, chances are that you'll only go back a couple of changes into the middle of your new comfort zone. This kind of acts like a save button, allowing you to keep most of your progress until you are able to refocus on your health once again. This actually happened to me as well last year. By the middle of 2017, I'd lost about 40 pounds. But then life happened and I lost focus. Instead of regaining all those 40 pounds, I only very slowly regained 3 or 4 pounds and then it stopped going up, because that was the point where I was at in my comfort zone. Now, when I've been able to regain my focus and focus more on losing weight again, I only had 3 or 4 pounds to get back to where I'd been, and it's a lot less demotivating to know I'm already this far along. It also helps that when you do fail, and you will fail because it is inevitable, that each change is considered separate in your mind. When you fail at avoiding candy or bread or soda or not getting enough vegetables, you didn't fail at all of these changes. You only failed at this one. So you're a lot less likely to throw out all your changes because you didn't fail at any of these. Okay, so as great as I'm making this habit change approach sound, it is still not flawless. While your comfort zone can move from zero to hero, it can also move back again, and with a little less resistance. This is because your brain circuitry that's underlying your previous bad habits doesn't simply die or turn off. It's in fact still active, but being overridden by the new habit circuitry that you have created. But this is still not that bad. It's still a slow process moving your comfort zone back. It's not quite as fast as it is with the more drastic approaches. This means that you can be somewhat relaxed because it's a slow process, but you still have to maintain vigilance and monitor your weight and health habits forever. If you do find that you're regressing back to zero, all you have to do is take account of all the changes that you have made and find out which one you are lapsing on, and then focus in and re-engage that change. You'll also find that some of the habits that you've developed are a lot more fragile than other ones. All this means is that you have to take extra care to nurture and maintain them. So you may have noticed that there was something missing from a video on weight loss. I haven't given you a single example of a dietary intervention you should be making. This is because, as I said before, there is no perfect diet. And in fact, a recent study showed that there was no difference in weight loss outcomes between diets of different compositions. What really matters, in fact, is that you find a diet that you enjoy and that you are able to stick to for the long term. And the trick to doing this is to use the right implementation strategy. And it's my belief that this habit evolution strategy that I just outlined is one of the best ways for you to do it. If you found this video enjoyable and informative, please give me a thumbs up, click on subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos like this one. Have a good day.